Valeth stood behind the counter of their small shop and watched her husband carry heavy boxes from the back room. Danny moved slowly, carefully placing each box on the shelf, without making a sound. He was not a big man. He was not strong by Kithari standards, but he worked hard every day without complaint. 3 years. She had been married to this human for 3 years. And still her people looked at her with shame in their eyes. A customer walked into the shop. He was a tall Kithari male with silver skin and 4 muscular arms. He looked at the items on display, then looked at Danny, then made a sound of disgust. "Is this the human?" the customer asked Valeth. "The one you left your family honor for?" Danny did not react. He simply smiled and continued organizing the shelves. "He is my husband," Valeth said coldly. "Do you wish to buy something or not?" The customer laughed. "I heard the stories, but I did not believe them. The daughter of House Sarandis, married to a cargo handler. A human cargo handler. Your ancestors must weep in the eternal darkness." Danny walked past them both, carrying another box. "Excuse me," he said politely. "Just need to get through." The customer stepped aside, still laughing. He bought nothing and left the shop, shaking his head. Valeth felt anger burn in her chest. This happened every day. Every single day, someone came to remind her of her shame. But when she looked at Danny, he was already back to work, humming a soft tune under his breath. "Does it not bother you?" she asked. Danny looked up. "Does what bother me? The way they speak to you. The way they look at you." He thought about it for a moment. "Not really. Words are just words. They do not change who I am." Valeth did not understand him. Any Kithari male would have challenged that customer to a duel. But Danny just smiled and kept working. Sometimes she wondered if humans simply did not feel pride the way her people did. That night, they ate dinner together in their small home above the shop. The space station hummed with distant sounds of ships and machinery. Danny had cooked for her, as he always did. Simple food, but made with care. "You are quiet tonight," Danny said. "I am always quiet. Quieter than usual." She looked at him across the table. His brown eyes were warm and patient. He never pushed her to speak, but he always noticed when something was wrong. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Marrying me?" Danny put down his food. "Never. Not for one moment. Your life would be easier without me. You could return to Earth. Find a human woman. Live without shame." "I do not feel shame," he said. "I feel lucky." Valeth wanted to believe him. She truly did. But she had given up so much for this marriage: her position in society, her family's approval, her future in politics. And Danny had given up nothing. He was the same man he had always been, a simple cargo handler who smiled too much and fought too little. After dinner, she saw him standing near the locked chest in the corner of their bedroom. It was an old metal box with no markings. He had brought it with him when they married, and he had never opened it. Not once in 3 years. "What is in there?" she asked. Danny turned away from the chest. "Old things. Things from before." "Before what?" "Before I became who I am now." He walked past her and kissed her forehead gently. "Some things are better left in the past, my love." She did not push him. She had learned that Danny had walls around certain parts of himself. He was open about almost everything: his childhood on Earth, his time working on ships, his love for cooking and reading. But there were shadows behind his eyes sometimes, moments when he seemed far away, lost in memories he refused to share. The next morning, everything changed. Valeth was opening the shop when her father's message arrived. Elder Sarandis rarely contacted her anymore. He had made his disappointment clear when she married Danny. But this message was urgent. "Lord Theron Vask is coming to the station," her father's voice said through the communicator. "He wishes to negotiate with our house. You must be present. This is not a request." Valeth felt her blood turn cold. Theron Vask, the warlord, who had been trying to absorb House Sarandis for years. He was ruthless, powerful, and cruel. His fleet had destroyed entire colonies that refused to submit to him. Danny noticed her expression. "What is wrong?" "Trouble," she said. "Old trouble that has finally found me. Tell me." She explained who Theron was. A Kithari warlord with a massive army. A man who collected noble houses like trophies. He had wanted to marry Valeth years ago, before she met Danny. Her family had refused him then. But they had been stronger then. "What does he want now?" Danny asked. "The same thing he always wanted. Our house. Our name. Our power." She paused. "Me." Danny's expression did not change. He simply nodded slowly, processing the information. "When does he arrive?" "Tomorrow." "Then we should prepare." Valeth almost laughed. "Prepare? What could they possibly do against a warlord with a fleet of warships?" They were shopkeepers. Danny was a cargo handler. They had no army, no weapons, no power. But Danny was already moving, checking the doors, looking at the windows, thinking about something she could not understand. That night, she woke up alone in bed. Danny was not beside her. She found him in the living room, sitting in the dark, staring at the locked chest. He did not notice her watching. His face was different somehow. Harder. Older. Like a stranger wearing her husband's skin. Then the moment passed. He stood up, walked back to bed, and held her close. "Everything will be fine," he whispered. "I promise." Valeth wanted to believe him. But she had seen something in his eyes that scared her, something that had been sleeping for a very long time. The warships arrived at dawn. Valeth watched from the observation deck as Theron Vask's fleet moved into position around the station. 12 massive vessels, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The station's defense systems would be useless against such force. Danny stood beside her, calm as always. He had dressed in simple clothes, the same ones he wore to work every day. He looked like what he was, a nobody, a cargo handler married above his station. "That is a lot of ships," Danny said quietly. "He wants everyone to see his power," Valeth replied. "Theron does nothing without an audience." They made their way to the central plaza, where the meeting would take place. Hundreds of Kithari had gathered to watch. Valeth's father, Elder Sarandis, stood at the front with the few loyal guards their house still commanded. He looked old and tired, his silver skin dulled with age and worry. When he saw Danny, his 4 eyes narrowed with disgust. "You brought the human," he said to Valeth. "He is my husband. He has a right to be here." "He has no rights. He is nothing." Danny said nothing. He simply stood slightly behind Valeth, watching everything with quiet attention. The crowd parted as Lord Theron Vask entered the plaza. He was enormous, even by Kithari standards. His 4 arms were thick with muscle, and his silver skin was covered with ritual scars that marked his many victories. He wore black armor, decorated with the symbols of all the houses he had conquered. Behind him walked his enforcer, Commander Rilka. She was smaller than Theron but moved like a predator. Her face was scarred from countless battles, and she carried 4 curved blades at her sides. Theron stopped in front of Elder Sarandis and smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "Old friend," Theron said. "It has been too long. We were never friends." Elder Sarandis replied. "Say what you came to say." Theron laughed. "Still so proud. I admire that. But pride will not save your house." He looked around the plaza at the watching crowd. "Your allies have abandoned you. Your wealth is gone. Your army is dust. All you have left is your name and your daughter." His eyes found Valeth. The look he gave her made her skin crawl. "I came to make a simple offer," Theron continued. "Give me Valeth as my consort. Our houses will merge. Your family name will survive. Your people will be protected under my rule. And if I refuse?" Elder Sarandis asked. "Then I will take what I want by force, and there will be no house left to protect." The plaza was silent. Everyone knew this was not a negotiation. It was a threat. Valeth stepped forward before her father could speak. "I refuse." Theron turned to look at her. His smile faded. "You refuse? I am already married. I have a husband. Your offer is meaningless." Theron looked at Danny for the first time. He studied the human for a long moment. then burst out laughing. The sound echoed across the plaza. "This is your husband? This small, weak creature? This is what you chose over me?" Danny did not react. He stood perfectly still, his face blank. "I chose him," Valeth said. "And I will not abandon him for a monster like you." The laughter died. Theron's eyes turned cold and dangerous. "You shame yourself," he said quietly. "You shame your family. You shame your entire species." He raised his voice so everyone could hear. "But I am not without mercy. I will give you one chance to redeem your honor." "Ama." He raised his hand and pointed at Danny. "I invoke the ancient law of Kael Voreth. A blood challenge. Let your champion face my champion in single combat. If you win, I will leave this station and never return. If I win, you will come with me willingly, and this human will be executed for his crime of touching noble blood." The crowd gasped. Kalvarath was sacred law, older than memory. Once invoked, it could not be refused without total disgrace. Elder Sarandis stepped forward. "This is madness. We have no champion capable of facing Commander Rilke. You know this. Then find one." Theron said. "You have until sunset tomorrow. If no champion steps forward, Valeth belongs to me." He turned and walked away without another word. Rilke followed, but not before giving Danny a long, measuring look. Her expression said she was already imagining his death. The crowd slowly scattered. Valeth felt her legs shaking. She had just made things worse. Much worse. Her father grabbed her arm. "What have you done? You have doomed us all for a human." "I will not be sold like property," she said. "You think this is about you? Theron will destroy everyone. Our servants. Our workers. Everyone who carries our name. All because you could not keep your mouth shut." He released her and walked away, his guards following. Valeth stood alone in the empty plaza. Alone, except for Danny. "I am sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I should have stayed silent. I have killed us both." Danny walked over and took her hand. His fingers were warm and gentle. "You did the right thing," he said. "The right thing will get us killed. Maybe not." She looked at him. "What do you mean?" But Danny just smiled and led her back toward their home. He did not speak again until they were inside, away from watching eyes. "I need to tell you something," he said. "Something I should have told you a long time ago." Valeth felt her heart beating faster. "What is it?" Danny walked to the locked chest in the corner. He knelt down and placed his hand on the metal surface. "I was not always a cargo handler," he said quietly. "Before we met, before I came to this station, I was someone else. Someone I tried very hard to forget." He opened the chest. Inside, wrapped in old cloth, lay a sword. A long, curved blade with strange markings on the metal. It looked ancient and deadly. "What is that?" Valeth whispered. Danny lifted the sword carefully, like he was holding an old friend. "This is who I used to be." Valeth stared at the sword in her husband's hands. The blade seemed to catch the dim light and hold it, glowing with a soft, deadly shine. She had never seen a weapon like it. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. "I do not understand," she said. "You are a cargo handler. You told me you worked on transport ships your whole life." Danny sat down slowly, the sword resting across his knees. He looked older suddenly, like a weight had settled on his shoulders. "That was not a lie," he said. "I did work on transport ships. After what?" He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, heavier. "Have you heard of the Terran Unification Wars?" Valeth nodded slowly. Every species in the galaxy knew about the human civil wars. For nearly 50 years, Earth and its colonies had torn themselves apart. Billions had died. It was the bloodiest conflict in human history. "I was a soldier in those wars," Danny said. "But not just any soldier. I was part of a unit called the Shadow Guard." The name meant nothing to Valeth. "We were assassins," Danny continued. "Killers. The best humanity had ever produced. When a war needed to end quickly, They sent us. We did things that would make your nightmares seem pleasant. He held up the sword. This blade has taken more lives than I can count. Generals, politicians, warlords, anyone who stood in the way of peace. We told ourselves we were ending the war faster, saving lives by taking lives. Maybe that was true. Maybe we were just murderers with better excuses. Valeth felt like she was looking at a stranger. This could not be the same man who cooked her breakfast every morning. The same man who sang while he worked and never raised his voice in anger. When the wars ended, the Shadow Guard was disbanded. Danny said, "Most of us could not live with what we had done. Some killed themselves, some disappeared. I erased my identity and ran as far as I could. I changed my name, changed my face, changed everything about myself. Why did you never tell me?" Danny looked up at her. His eyes were full of pain. "Because I wanted you to love me," he said. "Not the weapon, not the killer. Me, the man I chose to become. I thought if I buried the past deep enough, it would stay dead." He stood up and walked toward her. "I am sorry. I should have been honest with you from the beginning. You deserve to know what kind of monster you married." Valeth felt tears running down her face. Not tears of fear or anger. Tears of understanding. All those times Danny had walked away from insults. All those times he had refused to fight. He was not weak, he was terrified. Terrified of what he might do if he let himself fight again. "You are not a monster," she said. "You did not see what I was. I see what you are now. A kind man. A good man. A man who has never hurt me or anyone else since we met." She reached out and touched his face. "That is the man I married. That is the man I love." Danny closed his eyes. A single tear escaped and ran down his cheek. "Theron will not stop," he said quietly. "Even if you go with him, he will kill me. He will hurt you. Men like him do not know how to do anything else. I know. I cannot let that happen." She understood what he was saying. "You mean to fight?" Danny opened his eyes. The warmth was still there, but something else was there too. Something cold and sharp and ancient. "I swore I would never pick up this blade again. I swore I would die before I became that person again." He paused. "But I swore something else too. On our wedding day, I swore to protect you. Always." He looked at the sword in his hands. Some promises are stronger than others. They did not sleep that night. Valeth sat with Danny while he prepared. He moved through a series of slow, deliberate movements with the sword. His body remembered what his mind had tried to forget. She watched him flow from one position to another, smooth as water, deadly as poison. This was not the man she knew. And yet it was. It was all of him. The gentle husband and the silent killer. Two halves of the same soul. When morning came, Danny dressed in simple black clothes. He tied his sword to his belt and looked at himself in the mirror for a long time. "Whatever happens today," he said, "know that I love you. I have loved you since the moment we met. You made me believe I could be more than what they turned me into." Valeth took his hand. "Come back to me," she said. "I will try." They walked together to the arena where the challenge would take place. The entire station had come to watch. Thousands of Kithari filled the seats, talking and laughing, ready for entertainment. They expected to see a human slaughtered. They expected a quick and amusing death. Theron sat on a raised platform with his officers. Commander Rilke stood in the center of the arena, her 4 blades already drawn, stretching and warming up. Elder Sarandis saw them approaching. His face went pale. "What is this madness?" he demanded. "The human cannot fight." Valeth looked at her father. "Watch and see." Danny walked into the arena alone. The crowd fell silent, then erupted in laughter. A human with a single blade against Rilke? It was a joke. A pathetic joke. Theron leaned forward, grinning. "Is this your champion? The cargo handler? This is the best house Sarandis can offer?" Danny stopped in the center of the arena. He did not respond to Theron. He did not look at the crowd. He simply stood and waited. Rilke walked toward him, her 4 blades spinning lazily. "I will make this quick, little human," she said. out of respect for your courage. If nothing else. Danny drew his sword. The blade sang as it left its sheath. A clear, pure note that echoed across the arena. And then Danny looked up, and everyone saw his eyes, cold, empty, ancient. The eyes of a man who had seen more death than anyone present could imagine. The laughter died. "Whenever you are ready," Danny said quietly. Rilke attacked first. She moved like lightning, all four arms working together in a blur of steel. Her blades came from 4 different angles at once, a technique that had killed hundreds of warriors across a dozen worlds. No single opponent could defend against attacks from so many directions. Danny moved. He did not block. He was not where the blades landed. He flowed around them like smoke, his body twisting and bending in ways that seemed impossible. Rilke's swords cut through empty air. The arena went silent. Rilke attacked again, faster this time. She pressed forward with fury, her blades creating a wall of steel that should have cut Danny into pieces. But he was never there. He slipped between her attacks like water through fingers, always one step ahead, always just out of reach. He did not attack, he simply moved, watching, waiting. "Stand still," Rilke snarled. "Fight me." Danny did not answer. He continued to flow around her attacks, his single blade held loose at his side. From her seat in the crowd, Valeth watched with her heart in her throat. She had never seen anyone move like Danny. It was not fighting. It was dancing. A terrible, beautiful dance, with death. Rilke grew more desperate. She abandoned technique and attacked with raw aggression, her 4 blades swinging wildly. She was breathing hard now, her movements becoming sloppy. Danny had not even broken a sweat. "You are tired," Danny said quietly. "Your right shoulder dropped 3 attacks ago. Your lower left arm is overextending. You are leaving openings." "Shut up," Rilke spat. "You are skilled. One of the best I have seen. But you fight to conquer. You fight to destroy." Danny raised his blade for the first time, pointing it at her heart. "I fight to protect. That is the difference." Rilke screamed and launched her most powerful attack. All 4 blades came down together in a killing strike that would have split a normal opponent in half. Danny stepped inside her guard. One cut. That was all it took. His blade moved faster than the eye could follow. And suddenly Rilke was standing still, her 4 swords clattering to the ground. Danny had cut through the straps, holding her weapons without touching her skin. He stood behind her now, his blade resting gently against her throat. The arena was completely silent. No one moved. No one breathed. "Yield," Danny said. Rilke stood frozen. Her eyes were wide with shock and fear. In all her years of battle, no one had ever defeated her. No one had ever come close. "How?" she whispered. "How is this possible? You are human." "Yes," Danny said. "I am." He pressed the blade slightly, not enough to cut, just enough to remind her of its presence. "I could kill you," he continued. "Easily. But I do not want to. I am tired of killing. I have taken enough lives to fill an ocean with blood. I do not want yours too." He stepped back and lowered his blade. "Yield. Walk away. Find a better master to serve." Rilke fell to her knees. Her head dropped in surrender. "I yield," she said, her voice breaking. "I yield." The crowd erupted. Not in cheers, but in confused shouting. This was impossible. A human had defeated the greatest warrior in Theron's army. With a single sword, without taking a single hit. Valeth felt tears streaming down her face. She wanted to run to Danny, to hold him, to tell him how proud she was. But it was not over. She could see Theron's face twisting with rage. The warlord stood up from his seat. "No," he shouted. "This is a trick. Some kind of human deception." "There is no trick," Elder Sarandis called out. "The challenge was fought fairly. By the ancient law of Calvoreth, House Sarandis is free. You must leave this station." "I will leave nothing," Theron roared. He raised his hand and pointed at Danny. "Kill him. Kill him now." His guards hesitated. The sacred law, one of them said. My lord, we cannot break Kalvorath. The ancestors will curse us. I am your lord, Theron screamed. My word is the only law that matters. Kill the human. Theron screamed. To the human. The guards looked at each other. Then slowly, reluctantly, they began moving toward the arena floor. 20 armed Kithari warriors. Each one trained for battle. Danny watched them coming. He did not run. He did not show fear. He simply raised his sword and waited. Please, Valeth whispered. Please. Danny looked up at her. He smiled. That same gentle smile she fell in love with 3 years ago. Then he turned to face the army coming to kill him. I hoped it would not come to this, he said quietly. I really did. The first guard attacked. Danny cut him down with a single strike. Not a killing blow, but enough to drop him to the ground. Disabled and bleeding. The second guard followed, then the third, then all of them at once. Danny moved through them like a ghost. His blade sang through the air, precise and controlled. He did not waste a single motion. Every cut, every step, every breath was perfect. Guards fell around him, clutching wounds that would heal but would keep them from fighting. He was not killing them. Even now, surrounded by enemies, he held back. He disabled instead of destroyed. He showed mercy to men who showed him none. Within 2 minutes, all 20 guards lay on the ground. Danny stood alone in the center, blood on his blade but none on his soul. He looked up at Theron. Enough, Danny said. This ends now. Theron's face was pale with fear. He had never seen anything like this. No one had. What are you? The warlord whispered. Danny started walking toward him. I am a husband, he said. A cargo handler. A man who wanted nothing but peace. He climbed the steps to Theron's platform, his blade dripping red. But you would not let me have peace. You threatened my wife. You threatened my home. He stopped in front of Theron. The warlord stumbled backward, tripping over his own throne. So now I am something else, Danny said. I am your nightmare. Theron scrambled backward, until his back hit the wall. His forearms reached for the ceremonial sword at his hip, but his hands were shaking too badly to grip it properly. Stay away from me, he shouted. Guards, someone help me! But no one came. His guards lay wounded on the arena floor. His officers had fled the platform. Even Commander Rilke remained on her knees, unwilling to face Danny again. Danny stopped a few feet away from the warlord. His blade was steady, pointed directly at Theron's heart. You have spent your whole life taking from others, Danny said. Houses, worlds, lives. You never asked. You never offered. You simply took. Theron's eyes darted around, looking for escape. There was none. I will give you anything, the warlord pleaded. Ships, wealth, territory. Name your price. I will pay it. I do not want your ships or your wealth. Then what do you want? Danny looked at him for a long moment. The arena was silent. Thousands of eyes watching from the seats above. I want you to understand something, Danny said quietly. Humans are not weak. We are not lesser. We simply choose to be kind. We choose to be gentle. We choose to smile and work hard and avoid conflict. He stepped closer, his blade now touching Theron's chest. But when you threaten what we love, we become something else. Something your ancestors warned you about. Something that has destroyed empires and broken gods. Danny pressed the blade slightly, drawing a thin line of silver blood. Remember this day. Remember what kindness looks like when you push it too far. And then he stepped back. He lowered his sword. Theron stared at him in disbelief. You are not going to kill me? No. Death would be a mercy for someone like you. Danny turned to face the crowd. By the ancient law of Kalvorath, Lord Theron Vask has been defeated. More than that, he broke the sacred law by ordering his guards to attack after the duel ended. He has no honor. He has no right to call himself a lord. A murmur ran through the crowd. Breaking Kael'Vorath was the worst crime in Cathari culture. It meant eternal shame. It meant exile from noble society. I strip you of nothing, Danny continued, looking back at Theron. Your own actions have stripped you of everything. Go back to your fleet, go back to your worlds, and know that everywhere you go, people will know what you did here today. Theron's face twisted with humiliation and rage, but there was nothing he could do. Danny had destroyed him more thoroughly than any death could have. The warlord stumbled to his feet and fled the platform. His remaining officers followed, heads down in shame. Within an hour, his fleet had left the station. Danny watched them go. Then his legs gave out. Valeth was there before he hit the ground, catching him in her arms. She held him tight as the crowd erupted into chaos around them. Some were cheering. Others were arguing. Many simply stared in stunned silence at the human who had shaken their entire understanding of the galaxy. Danny, she whispered. Danny, can you hear me? He opened his eyes and smiled weakly. I told you. I promised to protect you. You fool. You beautiful, crazy fool. She kissed him there, in front of everyone. She did not care who was watching. Elder Sarandis approached slowly. His expression was unreadable. Father, Valeth said, her voice sharp with warning. But the old Kithari did not speak to her. He knelt down beside Danny, his ancient joints creaking with the effort. I called you nothing, Elder Sarandis said. I called you weak. I was wrong. Danny looked at him. You were trying to protect your daughter. I understand. No, I was blind. Blind and proud and foolish. The elder bowed his head, a gesture of deepest respect in Kithari culture. You have saved my house. You have saved my daughter. I owe you a debt that can never be repaid. Danny reached out and took the old man's hand. Just treat me like family, he said. That is all I ever wanted. The next few weeks were chaos. Word of the duel spread across the galaxy like fire. A human had defeated a Kithari warlord's champion with a single blade. A human had humiliated one of the most powerful military leaders in known space without taking a single life. Messages flooded the station from every corner of civilization. Some were threats from Theron's remaining allies. Most were expressions of wonder and respect. Humans everywhere walked a little taller, knowing that one of their own had reminded the galaxy what they were capable of. Danny ignored all of it. He returned to his shop, returned to his inventory, returned to his quiet life. He refused interviews. He refused honors. He refused everything except the simple pleasure of working beside his wife. You could be famous, Valeth told him one evening. You could have power, influence, anything you wanted. Danny shook his head. I had power once. I had influence. It nearly destroyed me. He looked at her with those warm brown eyes she loved so much. All I want is this. Our shop, our home, you. She understood him now. She understood why he had buried his past. Why he had run so far. Why he had tried so hard to be ordinary. He was not hiding from his strength. He was protecting everyone else from it. And yet, when it mattered most, he had drawn his blade for her. That night, she found him standing by the window, looking out at the stars. What are you thinking about? She asked. I am thinking about how lucky I am, he said. To have found you. To have built this life. To have a reason to be gentle again. She wrapped her arms around him. My quiet, terrifying husband, she whispered. Danny laughed softly. Terrifying? Me? The whole galaxy is talking about you. The human who shook the world with a single blade. He turned to face her, pulling her close. Let them talk, he said. I am done shaking worlds. I just want to hold my wife and watch the stars. And that is exactly what he did. Years later, when people asked Valeth about her human husband, she always gave the same answer. He was the gentlest soul she had ever known. He cooked beautiful meals. He sang while he worked. He never raised his voice in anger. But sometimes, late at night, she would see him standing by that old locked chest, and she would remember the day he drew his blade and reminded the galaxy why humans were never to be underestimated. Some fires burn quiet. That does not make them any less dangerous.